In this video, we will discuss the UK spouse visa process in 2024 from start to finish for both out-of-country and in-country applications, including spouse visa extensions. We will do this by splitting the process into 8 simple steps. As an OISC-regulated UK immigration law firm that has helped more than 3,000 partners with their UK partner visa applications, we're very well placed to discuss this. The process for a UK spouse visa is the same as applying for a civil partner or unmarried partner, so if you're making an application as a civil or unmarried partner, this video will also be relevant. Since the process, requirement and fees are different, let's first clarify whether your application will be an out-of-country application or an in-country application. To make an application from inside the UK, the applicant, that is, the non-UK partner that needs the visa, must have a visa or leave that has been granted for longer than 6 months, which is not a visitor visa. Exceptions here are those in the UK on a fiancé or proposed civil partnership visa who can submit an application from inside the UK. Typically, the applicant will have one of these listed here. Whether the sponsor, the UK partner, helps complete the online application form and submit the supporting documents does not change this. So if the applicant has no visas or leave, the application must be made from outside the UK. Similarly, if the applicant is in the UK as a visitor, they will be expected to leave the UK and then make the application from outside the UK. The first thing that you must do if you're submitting the applications yourselves is to learn the spouse visa requirements and gather the relevant documents. This is because the documents you submit should show that the requirements are met on the date that you submit the application. The spouse visa and document-specific requirements are rather numerous, so this normally takes partners longer than they initially expect. A common mistake that leads to refusals is to simply complete the application form and then provide the documents requested in the online application form's document checklist. Not only does this document checklist often not list the required documents, but it doesn't list documents which, whilst they're not strictly mandatory, would nevertheless be helpful to submit. For a detailed explanation of the UK spouse visa requirements that you must know, you can watch our in-depth UK spouse visa requirements YouTube video or visit our website migrate.org.uk, which has more than 40 free articles and guides about UK spouse and partner visas. The second step will be to start completing the online application form. To find the correct spouse visa application form, you can Google apply partner visa gov.uk. Then click on the gov.uk link, which says family visas, apply, extend or switch. On the top of the page, ensure that you are on the apply as a partner or spouse page. Scroll down to the subheading how to apply. If you're making an out of country application, click the link apply online from outside the UK here. And if you're making an in-country application, click the link apply online in the UK here. So you may have already heard about the VFS, TLS or UKVCAS websites. Partners are often initially unsure what roles these websites play in the spouse visa application, so let's quickly discuss that now. Firstly, you will never complete the online application form on the VFS, TLS or UKVCAS websites. Instead, you'll be redirected to one of these websites after you've completed and submitted the online application form we've just discussed. VFS, TLS and UKVCAS primarily deal with the visa centre appointment, the submission of the documents and the purchasing of other added value services, such as the Keep My Passport service. Whilst VFS and TLS deal with out-of-country applications, UKVCAS deals with in-country applications. We'll discuss VFS, TLS and UKVCAS later in this video as we go through the process step by step. Whilst it changes over time, incomplete applications generally remain open for 6 months from when the application was started, the date you plan to arrive in the UK. For out-of-country applications, you'll be asked about the date the applicant plans to arrive in the UK in the online application form. If your answer here is before the application is granted, the start date of the visa will normally be on or around the date of the decision. If your answer here is after the application is granted, the start date of the visa will normally be the date you list here. However, please note that the Home Office can normally only post-date the start date of the visa by up to 3 months after the date the application is decided. Depending on the size of your screen, you may be able to see that the online application form here states, after your application has been approved, you will have 30 days to arrange travel to the UK. This is not currently correct. As we will discuss later, applicants are currently given 90 days to enter the UK. For more information about the UK spouse visa online application form, we've written an article on our website migrate.org.uk which discusses more than 50 things that you should be aware of before submitting the application and also covers commonly asked questions about the online application form, so we will leave that discussion there. Step 3 is to submit the application. The application is submitted by paying the Home Office fees on the online application form. These payment pages will appear after paying the Immigration and Health Surcharge, otherwise known as the IHS. When should the application be submitted? Firstly, in nearly all instances, the application should only be submitted by paying the Home Office fees once the requirements are met. Therefore, if possible, you should ensure that you've gathered the required immigration rules compliant documentation before submitting the application. And this is particularly the case with financial documentation. This is because the relevant date that the requirements must be met is the date that the Home Office fee is paid, not the date that the applicant attends the visa centre. This is known as the date of application in the immigration rules. The date of application can be checked by downloading a PDF copy of the online application form on the online application form website. For out-of-country applications, ensuring the requirements are met when the application is submitted is a main consideration when considering when to submit the application. And also, you don't want to submit the application too early, as you can generally only ask for the 90-day entry clearance visa to be post-dated by an additional 3 months after the date the application is decided. So, being aware of the current processing times is helpful here and is something that we discuss on our website migrate.org.uk. For in-country applications, the application will need to be submitted before the applicant's current visa or leave's expiry date. The effect of submitting an application before the applicant's visa or leave's expiry date will be to extend the applicant's current visa or leave until a decision has been made on the partner visa application that was submitted. This is known as Section 3C leave. For applicants in the UK on a partner visa that is not a fiancé or proposed civil partner visa, the application should generally be submitted within the 28-day period before the expiry of the partner visa. For applicants in the UK on a fiancé or proposed partner visa, the application can be submitted any time after marrying or entering into a civil partnership, but before the 6-month visa expires. And for applicants in the UK on a non-partner visa, it's generally fine to submit the application at any time before the visa's or leave's expiry date, preferably at a time that you don't foresee the applicant leaving the UK within 6 to 8 weeks for reasons we'll discuss later. What if you want to opt for the priority or super priority service? If you're making an in-country application, please note that currently the super priority service is only purchasable on the online application form payment page. It cannot be purchased on the UKVCAS website. Therefore, if you're making an in-country application and you only want the super priority service but only the standard service is showing, if the visa expiry date permits, you may decide to check back at a later date before you pay the Home Office fee. Super priority visa appointments are released daily, normally around 1 AM UK time, even on weekends for some visa centres. For out-of-country applications, historically, the priority service has been purchasable on both the online application form payment page and on the VFS or TLS websites. As of shooting this video, however, priority service appointments are purchasable on the VFS and TLS websites, not on the online application form, although this can change in the future. Another recent change is that for out-of-country applications, the priority service is sometimes available for purchase at the visa centre appointment. Step 4. Book the visa centre appointment. The visa centre appointment, otherwise known as the biometrics appointment, can only be booked after you've submitted the application by paying the Home Office fees. After submitting the application, you'll be redirected to the UKVCAS website if you're making an in-country application, or to the VFS or TLS website if you're making an out-of-country application, depending on the country the application is being made from. Appointments are normally bookable up to 28 days in advance, so you do not necessarily need to book the appointment straight away. For out-of-country applications, appointments are normally available within a few days, and for in-country applications it can take slightly longer. Step 5. Submit the supporting documents. The document submitting procedures vary depending on whether the application is made from either outside or from inside the UK. In all instances, however, we now generally recommend self-uploading the supporting documentation instead of the various other methods. The self-uploading takes place on either the VFS, TLS or UKVCAS website. You do not upload the documents on the online application form discussed earlier, and therefore you can only self-upload after you've submitted the online application. Whilst the self-upload portal is by no means perfect, and we know this because we upload documents on behalf of our clients every day of the week, partners who do not engage an immigration lawyer to help with their application tend to face the least number of issues if they choose to self-upload the documents. And another benefit of self-uploading the documents is that, unlike the other document submitting methods, it does not come with additional fees. Other document submitting procedures include 1. Submitting copies of the supporting documents at the Overseas Visa Centre for out-of-country applications or at a UK centre, and 2. A method available only in limited locations and circumstances by posting copies of the supporting documents to an address provided. For each document submitting procedure, instructions will be provided to you as you progress through the application process. You may be glad to hear that, other than the applicant's passport, original documents are not required for any of the document submitting procedures. Rather, copies of such documents, whether in paper or digital format, suffice, so you don't have to worry about important documents being lost in the process. Step 6. Attend the Visa Centre appointment. Most applicants must attend a Visa Centre appointment at a local Visa Centre that they select as part of the online process. Sponsors will not be required to attend the Visa Centre appointment for both out-of-country and in-country applications. Visa Centre appointments, for the most part, are very uneventful. This is because it really is just an administrative process of the applicant providing their biometrics, which essentially means that their fingerprints and photograph will be taken. And if you opt for the document scanning service, which is an optional additional cost service, they will help the applicant scan the copies of the supporting documents at the Visa Centre. Contrary to the partner visa process in other countries, neither applicants nor sponsors are interviewed at the Visa Centre. In fact, only a tiny percentage of partners are interviewed as part of the visa process, as in some instances, the Home Office may arrange for phone interviews. Such interviews are normally only requested where the Home Office caseworker would like additional clarification or to discuss the applicant and sponsor's relationship. The staff at the visa centres play no part in the decision-making of the application. Rather, they are there just to assist with the administrative process. In-country applicants will always retain possession of their passports. With this being said, for in-country applications, please note that leaving the UK whilst the application is being processed will result in the application being withdrawn. Out-of-country applicants will leave their passports at the Visa Centre, unless they've opted for the Keep My Passport service, or if they're attending a visa in a different country due to there being no available visa centres in their usual country of residence. Step 7. Wait for the decision. Once the Visa Centre appointment has been attended, it is very much a rather grueling waiting game. Normally, non-priority out-of-country applications are processed within 3 months, whilst priority out-of-country applications are normally processed within 30 days. Non-priority in-country applications are normally processed within 6 to 8 weeks, while super-priority in-country applications are normally processed within 1 working day. The processing service for both out-of-country and in-country applications is ever-changing, and so we update the processing time articles on our website migrate.org.uk on the first or second day of each month. There, we also address other frequently asked questions such as when you can get refunds, the priority service, when and how you can follow up on an application, and what this email here really means, which states, among other things, please ensure that your supporting documents are submitted within 5 working days of this email. Step 8. The decision. When a decision is made, both out-of-country and in-country applicants will normally receive an email. This is sometimes received in the junk or spam folder, especially with Hotmail, Live and Outlook email accounts, so don't be afraid to check there every so often. For out-of-country applications, the email will either request the passport to be collected or notify you that the courier will send you the passport. The email will not normally state whether the application has been granted or refused. However, for out-of-country applications where applicants opt for the Keep My Passport service, VFS and TLS will only request for the passport to be returned if the application is successful. For out-of-country applications, once the passport has been returned, you should find a 90-day entry clearance vignette, which is like a sticker in the passport. For in-country applications, the email will normally state whether the application has been granted or refused. If you found this video helpful and would like to see more of its kind, you are more than welcome to like the video and subscribe. We also have more than 40 free articles and guides about UK spouse and partner visas on our website, migrate.org.uk, so feel free to check that out. For a detailed account of all of the spouse visa requirements, you can watch our incredibly in-depth UK spouse visa requirements video by clicking the video here.